Well, I made it through my second week of fasting, and it is fairly uneventful. So I'm not going to go through each day like I did last video, talking about each of those things because for the most part, it was just once I got through the seventh day, it was fairly smooth sailing. There's four things that I was going to just hit on in case anybody might be interested. The first is the taste in my mouth. It's considerably better than last week. Not saying that it's great, but plenty of days where I hadn't really thought about it a whole lot. Much more bearable than what was going on the first week. That would have been difficult to go through the whole month with that. The second thing is my sleep. I have watched videos of fasting. I've read a lot of fasting myself, talked to people. And a thing that'll come up with a lot of people is, oh, it's so great. Like I didn't need that much sleep. The body's not processing food and I've got all this extra energy. And that's just not been the case for me. I have continued to go to bed anywhere from 10 to like 11:30 at night. Get up anywhere from 7:30 to 8 in the morning, and it's felt right. It's just felt like what my body needed, and it's what's interesting that's a lot of sleep for me. That's a whole lot of sleep. But like when I'm eating, it's nothing for me to go multiple days in a row of going to bed at 2, not because I'm purposely staying up, just because like that's when I would start winding down and getting tired and get up at like 7 to 7:30, and go about my day, do all my work, do all my interactions, and function totally fine. I couldn't imagine doing that right now. And if I did go to bed at 10 o'clock, man, I would be up. I'd be up at like 6:15 or 6:30, um, in a normal kind of situation. So it's a lot of sleep for me. A plus is, and I'm really liking this. I haven't napped except for one day since the start of January, and I was actually at a point where I would just accidentally nap. I would just sit down and fall asleep. And that was whether I was getting these nights where I'm talking about like going to bed at 2, or if I had multiple nights in a row of getting good sleep. It's like I just could not keep myself awake throughout the day. The one nap day happened. This is kind of an interesting little accidental experiment. The one nap happened. There was one night where I was just staying up, wanted to watch some stuff on TV, and ended up staying up to like 1:30 or 2, and got up at 7:30, maybe something like that. And that just did not feel good. But the interesting thing is, I weighed myself because I know that sleep affects those things, and that not getting good sleep puts stress on the body and all these other kinds of things. And I actually gained a pound and a half that night or day, or however you want to say it, where my sleep was poor. And later on that afternoon, I mean, even waking up, I just didn't feel good at all. Later that afternoon, I ended up going, taking, kind of napping off and on until it was dinner time to go hang out with my family. So that was an interesting thing, with the sleeping. The next thing is I've dealt with acid reflux off and on, more on than off, since college. And I've been on medication, not been on medication. My most recent thing is when I need it, taking a Pepcid Complete, and I'd like to eventually not have those. That's the only medication that I take right now. And um, it was getting really bad this past week, the reflux. So I got on the Facebook group, A Healthy Alternative, where a lot of people fast, and there's other topics having to do with health there besides just fasting. But I just want to see if anybody else had any experience with it. And only two real suggestions that I got was to try some cucumber water, which I haven't tried, and the other was to try some apple cider vinegar. And I remember a few months ago watching a video, Serious Keto, where he was talking about being on reflux meds and he wanted to get off of it. And so he made this mixture of apple cider vinegar and lemon and lemon juice and stuff like that. He got from a doctor's video on YouTube that I'd also seen that one, but I can't think of that doctor's name right now. And after 7 days, he was no longer taking his reflux medicine. So I decided to give it a shot. I'll just say for me, at least while I'm fasting, maybe I just didn't give it time, but it didn't work. I tried it for 2 days, and the burn in my chest was worse those 2 days than the other ones. And I was having to take even more Pepcid on those days. And I was like, I wanted this thing to be a water fast. And here I am, putting in apple cider vinegar and lemon juice, as well as cinnamon and ginger and some other sort of things. And I'm still having to take the Pepcid. So I nixed it. It might work fine when I start eating, might give it a shot again. But my thing right now is just to try to drink more of my water earlier in the day. That seems to help, to be sipping on it throughout the day, not drinking large quantities. But if anybody happens to stumble across this video and you have dealt with this and you have a remedy, I would love to read about it and learn from you. And the last thing was focus. I said when I started this, it was a multi-thing deal that I wanted to do with this fasting, and one of those was a spiritual thing and spending time with God and all of that. And how last week I just felt so bad that I just wasn't really doing any of that. And this week still is not where I want it to be, but has been much better than last week. And I've still got time to go. So here's to hoping that each week just continues to get better on that front. And then the last thing I have, if anybody's curious and has made it through this far, is I lost 8.6 pounds this week, which is much more realistic than the amount of weight that I lost the first week. It comes out to about 1.2 pounds a day. I do wonder, though, what it would have looked like had I not had that day where I didn't go to sleep until really late and gained 1.5 pounds, because I lost weight the next day, but it was really back to the weight that I was the day before the gaining weight. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like losing 2 days, like stalling out for 2 days, which maybe I would have done anyway. The body does some weird things, especially when fasting. So that's been this week. And I'll check back in next week. Bye.